Good morning, everyone. Let's get started by singing together number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. We'll do a couple of verses. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Wonderful. Good way to start. I am really glad that you're here. My name is the Reverend Doug Wadkins, and I am joined today by a team of folks. We have Catherine Bonner, who will present our Time for All Ages. We have Robert Muschetti, Don Brennan, our mass choir that will help with our music. And we have our technical assist from Klaus Obermeid and Doug Caldwell. If you are a visitor, we hope that you'll take a few moments while you're online to go to our website and click on a banner marked Welcome Visitors. If you do that, it'll take you to a section that gives you more information that's helpful for visitors to get to know our congregation in Unitarian Universalism. It's also a place where you can sign our virtual guest book. We hope that you will do that, because if you do, we will send you our weekly newsletter, The Contact, that gives you a lot more information about what's going on, and especially helpful, the links to the various Zoom rooms for many of our gatherings. Also, it is a great way for you to find out how to get more involved. And so I hope you'll take a few moments. We're always happy to help you out too. You can give us a call if you have questions. We also invite you to be part of our coffee hour that will be starting immediately after the service. And that is the same Zoom link that is used for the forum. Again, if you sign up for our newsletter, we'll send you that link so that you can join us for a chance for conversation after the service. I would like to invite a special guest up to talk to us a little bit about stewardship. I would like to invite our chair, Bette Cummings, to come and offer some opening remarks. Welcome, Bette.
Thank you, Robert. And good morning, everyone. And it is a beautiful morning. Lots to be grateful for, including this wonderful church of ours. I'm here to talk to you about this year's stewardship campaign. It's a once-a-year event. You've received a letter in the mail with a pledge card and a brochure about ways to give, and a tiny invitation. Maybe you've seen some short things in the newsletter and about the pledge campaign. And you've probably noticed that we're being a little more specific this year about what the church needs from us. It's all pandemic related, of course. 2 years of seriously reduced income is hitting us hard. The church is 70 years old, something to be proud of, and has probably had some tough times in the past. Now it's our turn. So I want to ask you, can you add $20 per month per member to your pledge this year? $20 per month or more? I know and understand that it depends on individual budgets and circumstances. And we're deeply grateful for all gifts. But if many of us are able, it would help so very much. Bill and I are thankful for having this spiritual home and the many friends we've made here. And we're going to increase our pledge. I hope many of you will join us. And speaking of joining us, the Stewardship Committee invites you to join us for a pledge party food and wine. Next Saturday, February 19th at 4 p.m., right here in the church courtyard. Bring your pledge card, whatever you can give. Come and celebrate. Your friends will be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Bet. We look forward to gathering together in the courtyard this next Saturday. Before we move into the prelude, I'd like to invite Robert Laschetti up to the microphone to introduce Herman Berndt, our guest musician. Welcome, Robert.
So we're very happy to have Herman back. He's been here before, and this is his first time back after the pandemic, and he's happy to be here again. Herman Berndt is a world-class cellist. He lives in Vienna. He studied at the conservatory in Munich. And you know what? I can take my mask off, right? Hi. He studied at the conservatory in Munich, and he plays in Vienna with a large orchestra and chamber music. Today he's going to be playing a piece by Debussy and then later one by Mendelssohn. We're very happy to have you. Thank you.
Beautiful, Herman. Looking forward to more soon. We move now to our chalice lighting. I hope at home, if you have a candle ready or your own chalice, as we say these words, I hope you will light your chalice at home. Our reading is taken from words attributed to Black Elk. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all, and round beneath me was a whole hoop of the world. And while I stood there, I saw more than I can tell, and I understood more than I saw. For I was seeing in the sacred manner the shape of all things of the Spirit, the shape as they must live together like one being. And I saw that the sacred hoop of my people was one of the many hoops that made one circle, wide as daylight and as starlight, and in the center grew one mighty flowering tree to shelter all the children of one mother and one father. And I saw that it was holy. And so we light our chalice in the spirit of the sources of our wisdom, We have our principles, but we also have 6 sources that help us understand where we might turn for wisdom. And one of them is the spiritual teachings of the Earth Center traditions, which celebrates the sacred circle of life and instructs us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. So now I am happy to invite Catherine and Nora to share A Time for All Ages.
Welcome. Today I'm going to retell you a story that I have found that has given me inspiration these past 6 years. That's Good, That's Bad by Marjorie Coiler and illustrated by David Cottrell. One day, a little boy went to the zoo with his mother and father. They bought him a shiny red balloon. It lifted him high up into the sky. Wow!
Oh, that's good.
No, that's bad. The balloon drifted for miles and miles until it came to a hot, steamy jungle. It broke on the branch of a tall, prickly tree. Pop!
Oh, that's bad.
No, that's good. The little boy fell into a muddy river. Splat! He climbed up onto a roly-poly hippopotamus and he rode to the shore. Giddy up!
Oh, that's good.
No, that's bad. 10 noisy baboons were squabbling in the grass by the river. They chased the little boy up a tree until he was out of breath.
Oh, that's bad.
No, that's good. The baboons wanted to play vine swinging with the little boy. What fun! The little boy grabbed a vine and swung out of their reach. Whee!
Oh, that's good.
No, that's bad. The vine was a big, scary snake that wiggled and jiggled and hissed.
Oh, that's bad.
No, that's good. The little boy lost his grip, whoops, and landed on the back of a giraffe. Hooray!
Oh, that's good.
No, that's bad. The giraffe leaned over to drink some swampy water. Glug, glug. The little boy slid down its neck and fell into some quicksand next to an elephant. Schlop!
Oh, that's bad.
No, that's good. The elephant grabbed the little boy with its trunk and lifted him up, up, up onto its shoulders. Whoosh!
Oh, that's good.
No, that's bad. The elephant thumped bumpily along to a grassy plain where it stopped to feed. The little boy climbed down its trunk and woke up a daddy lion who was snoring in the grass.
Oh, that's bad.
No, that's good. When the lion saw the little boy, it purred. And it licked the little boy's face. Slurp!
Oh, that's good.
No, that's bad. The little boy got all wet and sticky. Yuck! And it ran deeper into the jungle. It was as dark as night. Ooh! And the little boy was afraid. He sat down and started to cry.
Oh, that's bad.
No, that's good. His tears made such a big puddle that a stork came along to have a drink. And he picked up the little boy with its beak. Whoosh!
Oh, that's good.
No, that's bad. The stork flew the little boy across the dark, windy sky. Flap, flap, flap. And the little boy thought he would never see his parents again.
Oh, that's bad.
No, that's good. The stork knew where it was going. It took the little boy back to the zoo and dropped him into his parents' arms. Plop! His mother and his father were so happy to see him. They gave him a big hug and a big kiss. Smack! Oh, that's good.
No, that's great.
Well, thank you, Nora, for helping to tell me the story with me today. This story is important to me because it reminds me that not all good things end up good, and not all bad things end up bad. When life seems like it's just going the wrong way, it's okay to have a little fun with it. And sometimes when you've lost your way, it's okay to sit and cry. But most importantly, there is always someone, somewhere, who knows what to do to make things just like the stork in the story, a little better. And one of these days, we're all going to be able to hug and kiss each other smack because we're so happy to see each other and because we'll have made it through all of these hard times together. So let us now sing hymn number 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
Guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith and fear. In the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze. When our hunger and our passion to further on our way. When we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to spirits into life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise of fulfillment and our future can begin. From the trace of the vision comes a motivating voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous voice. When the fire of commitment sets our minds and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance and the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
I invite us now to a time of centering. I'll begin with a reading, then invite you to a few moments of quiet, and we will sing together. Our reading is taken from the poetry of Rosemary Watola Tromer, entitled The Longing. And if it's true, we are alone together, the way blades of grass are alone, but exist as a field. Sometimes I feel it, the green fuse that ignites us, the wild thrum that unites us, an inner hum that reminds us of our shared humanity. Just as 35 trillion red blood cells join in one body to become one blood. Just as 136,000 notes make up one symphony. Alone as we are, our small voices weave into the one big conversation. Our actions are essential to the one infinite story of what it is to be alive. When we feel alone, we belong to the grand communion of those who sometimes feel alone. We are the dust that hopes a rising of dust, a thrill of dust, the dust that dances in the light with all other dust, the dust that makes the world. I invite us now to a few moments of deep breathing and quiet, and then as we come out of that, may we sing together, Spirit of Life. And now a reading taken from the writing of Leslie Jameson and the empathy exams. Empathy isn't something that happens to us, not just a meteor shower of synapses firing across the brain. It's also a choice we make to pay attention, to extend ourselves. It's made of exertion, that dowdier cousin of impulse. Sometimes we care for one another because we know we should, or because it's asked for. But this doesn't make our caring hollow. The act of choosing simply means we've committed ourselves to a set of behaviors greater than the sum of our individual inclinations. This confession of effort chafes against the notion that empathy should always rise unbidden, that genuine means the same thing as unwilled, that intentionality is the enemy of love. But I believe in intention, and I believe in work. I believe in waking up in the middle of the night and packing our bags and leaving our worst self for better ones. Here ends the reading. As we move into the time of offering, we are always invited to think about the many gifts we receive in our lives and what we are doing with that giftedness to make the world a better place. May our gifts be given and received in generosity and love. beautiful. Thank you. As I was preparing to offer a stewardship sermon, I was amazed when I realized that actually one of my favorite things to do every year is to prepare the sermon that kicks off the stewardship campaign. Now, this sermon is often jokingly called the Sermon on the Mount, but that isn't why I enjoy preparing it, because that's really not what the sermon is ever actually about. It is about a lot of things that are essential to me about ministry. It is a celebration of who we are as a congregation. It is a chance for me to think about and talk with you about some of the priorities that we value together. And as we think about this year's theme, We'll Carry On Together, it seems especially personal and real given the last months that we have experienced together. And so it is an opportunity for us to explore what I believe is one of the most essential qualities that centers our lives in a spirit of the larger heart and the open hand, and that is generosity. Now, when I think about generosity, I think about, among other things, one of my best friends from college, a woman named Tracy. Tracy was a big Amazon of a woman, but one of the things that we always knew about her is if we asked her to do something, whatever it would cost, she would always tell us that she had no money and would have to take a pass. Never was she able to do anything, no matter how inexpensive it was. But the thing is, Tracy was actually very generous. She fixed my car on several occasions when I was too poor to take it into a garage. She managed to put together a surprise birthday party for a very shy woman who likely otherwise would have spent her birthday alone in her dorm room, and actually somehow did it in a way that honored the woman's shyness and helped her feel loved. It may have been that Tracy's mom had died so early that she learned very quickly the ways that she needed to connect in the world and give of herself. But certainly it was a hard go for her. She would work at least 3 jobs all summer long just to have enough money to return to school, and then she continued multiple jobs throughout the year and was almost always exhausted. She depended on every cent of that money, and still it was always very tight. Well, one day, a group of friends were sitting in the lunch hall, and one of our friends said, have you heard about what's happening in the life of my roommate, Chandra? And she told us that all week there had been ongoing conversations between Chandra and her family, and that her mom was very, very ill and would be going in for surgery probably any time in the next few days, and that things sounded very, very grim for her mother. Chandra's family didn't even have credit cards, she said, as far as she knew. And just yesterday, Chandra had collected a pile on her bed of everything that she could think of that might be of value, that she could pawn to buy a bus ticket to try to get home to see her mother. And she realized with deep sadness that it wasn't even close to being able to raise money for a bus ticket. We all sat very quiet for a moment, sort of looking down at the table and feeling very powerless. And I looked over at Tracy, who just for a moment caught my eye, and then she stood up and walked across the hall to another table where Chandra was sitting. And I have to point out that Chandra and her roommate lived right across the hall from Tracy. They were very close friends. And so Tracy sat down next to her and said a couple of words that none of us could hear, although our table was absolutely stark quiet, wondering what would happen next. And Tracy always traveled with her backpack, and it was always stuffed to the brim with books and everything else. And she pulled it up on the table. She quietly unzipped the front flap, pulled out her checkbook, That was always something that she carefully guarded. And she wrote out a check and tore it out and gave it to Chandra, and leaned in and said something to her that only later Chandra would tell her roommate. She said, "Mothers come first. You need to be home." Well, she got up, and it turns out that she had written her a check large enough for Chandra to be able to buy an emergency plane ticket to fly home. It probably took a great deal of her savings for that entire year that she needed to live off of and pay for school to do that. But in that moment, she gave of herself so courageously. And all of us were stunned. But her action transformed us. Because when we saw that she was willing to put so much on the line to be generous, something changed in each of us. We knew that we had to do something. And so as Chandra went home, we started talking to our friends, and friends started talking to our professors, and the professors started talking to the staff, and soon there was a major fundraising effort that so much of the campus participated in to be able to repay that ticket, to help with some of the medical bills that were adding up. And when things went really horribly and Chandra's mother passed, we were able to send flowers to let her know that all of us were holding her in our hearts. It reminds me how personal and powerful generosity is. And that's what stewardship is actually about. That personal, that powerful, that thing that changes us when we really realize what our lives and our connections mean to us. Stewardship is a relationship, and it seeks to be in right relationship. If we were truly in right relationship with our time, our gifts, our finances, our planet, it would be incomprehensible to imagine just how different this world would be than it is now. All of us, me included, do not always live in that right relationship. But we're invited every day and in every moment to rethink and rededicate ourselves to living in a way that is more consonant and called by some deeper part of ourselves that understands the power of empathy, of placing ourselves in someone else's circumstances, of trying to understand more about what their life is like, and to understand that that deep connection so meaningfully fills our own truths, our own sense of purpose, our own sense of why we exist. That is the core of generosity. I'm reminded that it comes from a set of words that all have to do with giving birth. In some ways, then, when we become generous, we take part in an act of creativity. We create something better in the world than existed before we gave whatever we had to give. We need to explore that truth more often together as a congregation. And the thing is, our tradition is so filled with exemplars that taught us that the essence of who we are is that sort of abundant generosity, that love that is daring enough to fly in the face of what society expects of us. Our own tradition is steeped in the idea of not a God that is hateful and punishing, but so loving that we have been given the gift of our life to generously and with gratitude make the world more alive. John Murray, one of our most famous preachers from the 19th century, wrote this: "Go out into the highways and byways of America, your new country, and give the people blanketed with a decaying and crumbling Calvinism something of your new vision. You possess only a small light, but uncover it. Let it shine. Use it in order to bring more light and understanding to the hearts and minds of all people. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Do not push them more deeply into theological despair, but preach the kindness and everlasting love of God. Our forebears believed that our real mission, our real purpose in living, is to move more fully into that love in everything that we do, which I believe is the heart not only of generosity, but how we best should understand what we try to do in stewardship. Stewardship is a description of the way that we act as stewards, which in the Old English means the keeper of the hall. But that hall should not be a cold, dank, and dreary castle, but a place of warmth, always awaiting a feast, a celebration, a party. The concept of stewardship would ask a lot of us, a lot of faith, a lot of courage. But the thing is, you all are already living so many of those things. And so when we talk about we will carry on together, we continue what you already do together. You will find ways to carry on and make more of our young families feel welcome. You will find a way, because you have already, to be good stewards of our environment. You will continue to carry on in the ways that you work for social justice in our community. To be a steward is an exercise in hope and freedom, not in drudgery and oppression. It is an act of emancipation. It reminds me of the image that Amanda Aikman, one of our ministers, used in an award-winning stewardship sermon about what it means to live stewardship. She said simply at the end, "This is how you fly." Much like what Amanda said, I think about all of the times in my work with you and how often I have seen you, even in the midst of this incredibly awful pandemic, reaching out to each other with that generous, loving spirit. You know that feeling where you're doing something and time melts away and there's only that deep connection with someone else in this community where you felt understood and connected and loved and want to give back that same sort of feeling. I think of those flying moments as moments of true ministry and stewardship in our life together. When we sing together loudly and joyfully, when we see each other's smiling faces, whether it's on Zoom in the courtyard or in this space. For 70 years, we have been a part of a community that is living stewardship. And so it is natural, if we will lean into it, to carry on with that same sense of purpose, that same deep empathy of connection, not just within this community, but in the larger world. I know this is a hard time for us all, but it is only a little blip in history. We will move on from this place and this time. We have no choice, carry on. Hopefully, our choice will be together. Together, you will soon have a new minister to help lead you forward. Together, you will continue to grow as a congregation, not just in numbers, but also in a sense of the spirit of what you're called to do. I believe the foundation of our stewardship is a faith in the generous nature of the universe, and our forebears staked so much of their life to live from that truth. May we find within ourselves that deeper sense of connection. May we make from this place a launch pad, a safe and nurturing base from which we may all take off and to which we can return. We need community to do this. And yes, right now that is a scary proposition because it requires faith. But when we come to the edge of a big choice and we step forward, it is by doing so together that we will find something enlightening and powerful. It is by being together that we surely will learn to fly. We will carry on together. May you find your own way to be a part of that journey. Do it with love, connection, but most of all, Take the risk of faith. I invite us to join in our closing hymn, hymn 1024, When the Spirit Says Do. And now, as we prepare to leave this place, may that Spirit fill each of us, inviting us to inhabit our lives with all the love, all the generosity, all the wisdom we can bring to bear. We may extinguish this chalice, but we do not extinguish that light. We do not extinguish the fire of how we live our lives. We do not extinguish the warmth of human love. These we carry in our lives until we gather together again. Thanks for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next week, and join us this week on the 19th for a celebration together.